Hey YouTubers and Google Plus drumming community, this is Mike coming at you. I really just want to do a very basic tutorial of Audacity and Movie Maker. I know a lot of people have a lot of other programs that are a lot nicer, but these are a couple good free programs that you can get for those of us that don't have the money to buy that kind of stuff. And you know, I still use them. They're good little programs. There's nothing wrong with them. So I'm going to go over how I do business, how I create a video, or how I used to. I have another program now which I use, but I still use these a little bit. But I know a lot of people that still use them, and I wanted to help them out. And I hope that this tutorial will help you. First thing you want to do, again, this is just the way I do it, and it's very basic. I'm not going to go into a lot of the other stuff. Before we begin, I'm going to assume that you already have your music. Wherever you've downloaded the music from, that's your business. You've already recorded your drums. However you did that, that's your business. Hopefully you did not record your drums at a very high level where there's distortion. But again, that's up to you. I'm going to leave that in your hands. But once that is done, and it is assumed to be done, you will open Audacity and line up your drums with your original music. So I'll come in here, and yes, you should record your drum track separately from your music if you're able to. Now, I know some people out there, like certain people, use camera mics, but I do believe that they split the audio from the video, and if not, that's fine. Some people have good microphones on their cameras, and they don't have to combine them and do all this stuff. So this is not for you, but it is for some people. And hopefully you recorded your drums on a separate track, because you want the ability to be able to edit it. Add bass, add treble, reverb, things like that. So this is the video for you. If you have any suggestions, please leave them in the comments below. You open Audacity, go up to the left, File, import your original song. Again, this is the way I do it. You don't have to do it the same way. I come in and get this song, and then I import my drum track. Okay, now my drum track, I can see just visually that it's not lined up. So they have a little tool up here. You go up to the top and you hit on the time shift tool. And just very basically, you move it over. You can see that I can shift it back and forth. And this is how you line your audio up with your song. And so I'm going to just try to get it in, tweak it a little bit, and get it as close as I can. All right. Once you have done that, then you can come up here to the top and go to your zoom in tool. And you will zoom in. This allows you to be able to move and shift your audio in smaller increments, so that you can, instead of getting a big chunk of it moving left and right and trying to figure it all out, it allows you to be able to come in here and just tweak it just a little bit. And I can see here, normally these are your drum beats, the longer ones, because they're a little bit louder, usually the snare drum coming through. And so I'll line my stuff up with this. Now, some songs you may have to go to the middle and line everything up. You know, it's really going to depend on what you're doing and how you begin it and stuff like that. Sometimes in the beginning it's hard to line things up, so you'll have to come to maybe a break in the song and line it up that way. However it works for you, you can scroll back and forth until you find a good spot where you can line it all up. So you lined it up. One important thing is, like I said, hopefully you haven't recorded your drums at a high level, because now you have the ability to turn your gain up, or the volume of your drums up. I normally go about 13 or 14, but that's up to you. You can do what you want. So Whatever you feel is good. You can bring the volume of the song up and down. Whatever you feel is best. And if you double click on this bottom track, you can actually go up to Effect. Here's where you have all the cool little things like bass and treble, equalization, echo, reverb. You know, there's a lot of stuff in here. We are not going to go over that in this. This is mainly just how to use the basics, how to shift it, how to line things up. But I would recommend that you play around with it. You know, it's not going to hurt anything. And if you happen to do something you don't like, come up here to Edit and Undo. That's all you got to do. Okay. The ending is kind of crucial because a lot of the times, and now in this one I didn't, but a lot of the times I overdrum. In other words, I know the song's coming to an end, but I keep going anyway because I know at the end I can actually just cut things in and out. So I want to take the time shift off and go to my cursor or selection tool. And let's say that you can pretend like there's a bunch of drums here. I can actually just highlight what I want to take out. I come up here to my cut. I cut it out. And then let's say that you see how this is fading out. I want my drums to be able to follow that. So I kind of just come in here and I go to the end and I go into Effect. I go Fade Out. And if you keep your eye on that, you'll see that it goes down. And then I might actually listen to it. Since I've got this over here, I'll actually just listen to it and see if it, you know, meets what I want to happen. And if not, that's fine. You just highlight it again, go into your effect, and go repeat until you get to a level where you're happy with it. Once you are done, you scroll back over, make sure you just look everything over again. Oh, and one little thing is when you're lining stuff up, I meant to show you that. Instead of having to hit the start button and it plays, oh, sorry about that, because I moved the cursor. Let's say that normally when you come in, it's going to start over here to the left. Instead of having to listen to all this, or let's say it's a long intro with no drums, let's say the drums didn't start until it was way over here. You don't want to have to listen to all this stuff every time. So you come up here, you hit your cursor, your selection tool, and you figure out, and that way you can hit a start time instead of having to listen to all this junk over here. Then you are able to not save time and not be able to listen to everything, and you can just shift back and forth by going up here again to your time shift tool and moving it back and forth accordingly. Okay. Now, once you have everything perfect and you're happy with your gain, you're happy with your ending, you're happy with your effects, you're good to go, you would come up here and you would go Save Project. You need to save it as an Audacity project, and I'll show you why here in a little bit. I've done this a few times already, but just to help out, I'm going to bring this to 4. I've got it in the right folder. I go Save, but it says I'm not happy with your name. So let's just go ahead and try this again. And let's try 5. All right, it's saved. Now, and I'll come back to that. There's a reason why you want to save that as an Audacity project. But I also want to combine both of these tracks into one. So now I would come over to Export Audio. I would call this sample 6. Call it whatever you want. Make sure it's in the right folder. It is now, I prefer WAV files, but you can drop down and change it to MP3, whatever you want. But I suggest that you save the WAV. You go Save, and now it has combined both tracks into one. You close out, but let's say you're listening to it again. You go to the folder where it's saved, and you say to yourself, wait a minute, I'm not sure I like that, so here's the sample. It'll open up and you listen to it and you go, I don't really like the mix, I should have listened a little bit closer. Now you have the ability to come back in, and that's the reason why you want this Audacity file. Come in, open it up, and boom, everything is right there. And now you don't have to load the song back in, you don't have to do the time shift, you don't have to do the ending again, or the effects. But you may want to come in here and tweak it. So you come up here and do your time shift tool, line it up a little bit better, or maybe double click on it and go to your effects, change out what you want. Once you're done, you don't have to save the Audacity folder anymore, but you will have to export the audio again and save it. Rename it whatever you want. I'm not going to do that in this, but let's assume that you are now happy with everything and you're good to go, and now you need to take that audio and load it in with your movie. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and get my video, which is right there. Now, sometimes when you initially load your video, it doesn't do it now because I've already done it. You'll see it has to prepare files, and on the left down here, you'll see it'll have a little pop-up, and it'll say it's configuring your files. So just wait for that to get done. It might take 6-7 minutes. But on this one, particular one, because I'm using it and I've already done it, it doesn't show it. I would come in, I would put a title. If you want to leave a title name in there, you can. I click on this. I come down and drop that to about 2 or 3 seconds. You always want a little space in the beginning and the end, and I'll show you why in a little bit. So I've got that. Let me go down here and put my credits in. Don't need that. I just want it as space at the end, as you can see. All right, so when I record a song, I keep my video camera rolling the whole time. In other words, let's say that I have to do 10 takes to get the song down. I know some of you guys are experts and you only have to like 1 or 2, but I'm not that good. So sometimes I have to do 3, 4, 10 takes, whatever. But when I finally get to the point where I'm happy with it, I will actually bring the camera down, stop it, and then that way I know that the last time that I did the drumming is the one I want. And so you come down to the bottom, and you'll see that I'm just sort of looking at the computer, making sure everything's going good. And I come to the end of the song. Okay, I'll come up to video and I'll split it. So as you can see, I have that much little left over, and now I'll just delete it. I grab my cursor again, and then I just follow this to the beginning, and I know that that's probably up here somewhere. I'm pretty close to it now. Go beyond it and then come back. See, this is where I've stopped. And now I'm preparing. I turn the music on, and I'm waiting for the song to roll. I'm getting my mojo on a little bit. But now I've got the starting point to the song, or to the video. I come back up the video, I split it, and since I know that the ending is what I want, I go to the video before it. And as you can see, I did a lot of recording prior to that, so it took only a little bit to get it down a little bit. That's all right. So I delete that, and now my video is pretty much where I want it. I will have to snip a little bit here and there. Okay, so let's say that I want to bring a picture in. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to go straight in the video. I want to bring a picture in. Add the picture, whatever it is, and you can get these pictures off. I go to Google. All I do is go to Google. I put their name in, and I find a picture, and I import it into the folder, and I use it later on. But let's say I want to use a picture. It sometimes comes in the bottom. You just grab it and bring it up to the top. And so now I add the music that I've already done through Audacity, which I've already showed you guys. Open the folder up, and I get the last one, which is the sample 6, final audio. I insert it, and as you can see, the music is there, but it's not lined up. So there's a couple ways you can do this. You can actually just take your cursor and grab it, move it over. Now I like to keep the music in the black area in the beginning because I want the music playing as the picture comes up. But that's totally up to you. It's your video. You do what you feel is best. But that's when you move something like this, it's kind of hard to get it just perfect. So the way to tweak it in a lot of times is you go to music, and you go to this little start time thing, and what it'll allow you to do, and you watch the music as you do this, it'll move this way or the other way, and you can tweak it in really, really fine by, really good. You can really go down to, I think, what is that, 10 hundredths of a second? It's 2 hundredths of a second, but I don't know exactly. Anyway, this allows you to be able to line up your audio with your video. But let's say, you see that little space right there in the beginning that's got dead space? What I do is I bring it over, and of course I will try it to make sure that there's nothing there. And then you can actually come up to music and split it. So I split it. I take that out, whatever you feel is right. Bring it back over here. Now I've got to adjust or shift my music to line up with my video. So I come over and I play the music until I come to my video, and I suddenly go, wait a minute, I don't want my video to just abruptly come in like that. Now sometimes you do, but for me, most of the time I like to fade in and fade out. So you highlight the video, you come up, you go to visual effects, you can use any of the stuff you want. I like to use multiple ones, but it's up to you. So I go to multiple effects, I go fade in, fade out, and again, whatever you want to use here. I used to use sepia, which is that brown color for, I don't use that too much anymore. I apply it, and you can see right here, the effects are in effect. So now what I can do is just a process of getting this all lined up. But let's say that my music still is not where I want it. Instead of, you have the capacity to move your music back and forth so that it will line up with your video, but let's say that your beginning is a lot and you don't have room, let's say, to move it over. What I normally do is I just come over here and I take a little chunk off until I get it to almost where I want it, and then I'll try it out. Now this takes a little bit of time. You have to be patient. You have to work it. This is part of your craft, But let's say that I don't want to take any more video off because I might take off too much. This is why you need this in the beginning as well, is you are able to actually come up here and move it back and forth because you're kind of close already. Now you can move it back and forth and it should be able to line up. And so let's check our fading, make sure that's all good. Fading in and out, yep, that's all good. The music's there. Again, you're going to have to work your magic until that music lines up perfectly with this. Sometimes, depending on the song, you will also have to find a little point, maybe a break in the song, and line. I've had to go like 30 seconds in, or maybe even a minute into the song, because it was hard to tell where to start it, and how to line it up. So I go to a break. A lot of times if you go to a little break in the song, you can line it up better. Just a quick little interjection here. I wanted to let you know, this is kind of important, is when you click the video, you come up to video tools, go over to video volume, because like me, if you record with your camera, it picks up all the noises from the room, different things. You want to turn that volume down, okay? Also, go to the music, and you want the music volume. I always just bring it to the max. But again, that's going to have to be your preference. Play around with that, and then listen to it. And that's kind of an important thing. So let's go to the end. That's another important thing, is you want to make sure that your ending is good and that you're happy with it. So wherever you feel is good to end it, you've got your cursor over here on the right. What you want to do now is go to video, split it, come back down, delete that little ending, check your fade out, make sure that everything's good the way you want it. Now this is just a sample, and boom, there it is. And so again, you see all this music at the end. Let's say that you don't want that anymore, so you click on the music, bring the cursor over, Go to music, split it, and you get rid of the excess music at the end. Folks, that's how I do it. It's not very complicated. Now, what I do is, just like Audacity, I said that Audacity, you save it as a file or a project. This is the same way. You go save project. You put it where you want in the folder. Okay. As you can see, I've already done this a few times. So I'm going to come in here and put this in as a 3. I'm going to save it. Boom, you're done. Now, and I'll show you why you need to do that after, just like Audacity. Now I want to save it as a movie. I come in here, I go high definition. It's an MPEG 4. Again, I find the folder. And I name it what I want. Normally, what I will do is name it Final Movie. But in here, I'm going to have to put 2. So I hit save, and it starts the saving movie process. I'm not going to go through this because it takes about 10 minutes. I'm going to cancel that. But let's say that you close it out, and you go back and you listen to it. Because after it processes, it'll bring it up as a file like this, as a Windows Media file. And you open it up and you look at it and you're like, the sync was off a little bit and I didn't catch it. I got to go back in there. So now you have the capacity to come back in. Your Movie Maker Sample 2. Boom, everything is there. And so you don't have to do the effects anymore. You don't have to do the ending. You don't have to do anything. But let's say that you want to do the shifting again. So you click on the music. And now you just shift it until you get it tweaked in. Because a lot of times, you'll be rushed or something will happen, and you won't catch something. And it's always good to have this saved. So after you do that, you will unfortunately have to come back and save it as a movie again. Okay? But at least you don't have to do all this over again. Let's say that you now finally get to a point where you're ready, and you're like, I'm ready, I'm going to rock the world. You would come to YouTube. I highly suggest that you go to unlisted. Private is okay. I used to do that, but private is, you can't share it with anybody except for specific people, and then you have to put an email in there. Whereas if you go unlisted, nobody can see it, but you can send a link to anywhere you want and people can see it. So you upload the file, you come in, I know which one I want. Well, I thought I did. Hold on. Where was it? Oh, I didn't save it that time. So it's not going to be here. But let's just use another one. It doesn't matter. So as you can see, this is where you can name it. You put a description in, type anything. Tags are good because if, let's say that somebody else, you want to get your movie out there, somebody types in a keyword and they go disturbed. This is where you can tag it in. And what I normally do is I put in a lot of different things. I put my name in there. I put the name of the title. I put in rolling drums. I put in electronic drums. I put a lot of tags in there, and that's very, very important if you want your video to be seen. Okay, it's just important to do that. And at the end, you also want to be able to put in thumbnails. Again, thumbnails are very important because you can get a thumbnail. Right here is a custom thumbnail. The best thing to do is to try to, I Google their name and I go and I find a good picture with their name that's sort of, because people are visual. They want to be able to just go buy something and see it real quick. And that's the reason why they have all these thumbnail programs that you can get. I don't really get into that. I don't want to spend any more money than I have to. I'm pretty cheap. So I go out and just Google, type their name in. I find a good picture that I want for a thumbnail. And then, I'm not sure why that didn't upload. Okay, here it goes. And then you catch their eye, and that's how you catch them. And it's unlisted. Anyway, I'm not going to go through this. this is how you do it, folks. I don't do anything fancy, but it works okay. But again, I am using other programs to combine videos and stuff, but I'm not going to get into that. I really hope this helps somebody out there, because really that's what it's all about, isn't it? Supporting and helping each other. I hope it did help somebody. If you have any further questions, let me know. And please, if you have any suggestions, put them in the comments below. Take care. Bye.